become better at having difficult conversations as a leader, I'm going to share with you a few strategies to help you get started in terms of being that person that can communicate more confidently and concisely under pressure, especially in those very high stakes, high pressure situations. Now, if this sounds like a topic that is interesting to you, then you absolutely want to watch this video until the end, because I'm here to answer your questions as it relates to this topic. Now, I know many of you are in different leadership roles. You may be a C-suite executive, similar to what I did for many years. You may be a senior leader. You may be a manager. You may be a director. You may be an entrepreneur. You may be in all types of fields. But difficult conversations is something that you absolutely want to learn how to master as a leader. And we're going to talk about mastery just for a few moments today. Ask me any questions as it relates to this topic. If you're watching the replay or you're going to be watching here in just a few minutes live, feel free to ask me anything. I'm here to support you any way that I can. This channel, if you're new to me, my name is Dr. Jacinta, and this channel very heavily focuses on advanced communication skills and strategies to help you communicate more confidently and concisely under pressure. If you happen to be in my target audience as a woman in leadership, you're welcome to reach out to me for an executive strategy session on exciteexcellence.org, where we have the opportunity to work together, come up with a very solid game plan to help you be that communicator, that leader that can handle those very difficult situations so that you can earn more income, you can make a bigger impact on the world, and all the amazing things that you want to do. If you happen to be outside of my target audience, maybe you are a man in leadership, or you are a person that's not a leader just yet, but you're thinking about it, this is a channel where you're going to learn advanced communication skills and strategies. I'm very comfortable saying that I'm one of the few channels, probably the only channel on YouTube, that will provide you with a very surgical-like approach as it relates to how you communicate and how your communication can either help you or your communication may be hurting you in terms of the impact that you are trying to make on the world today. So let's talk about these difficult conversations. A lot of times people are a bit more concerned about having difficult conversations because they don't know what to say, they don't know when to say it, they don't know how to say it, they don't know where to say it, and all of those things. The reason being is that by nature, as individuals, we don't want to be in hard conversations. Who wants to go through conflict? Who wants to have drama? Now, I will say there are people out there that legitimately are okay with drama. But for the most part, most of us, especially as leaders, we don't want to deal with that. We don't want to deal with that drama. We don't want to deal with that headache. So I want to say hello to those of you joining live today. Let me know what part of the big, beautiful world you are joining from today, friends. And what questions do you have about having difficult conversations? If you want to become a master on managing difficult conversations, ask me any questions in the comments below that's related to that topic specifically. I want to say hello to Joy Boy. Hello. How you doing today? I want to say hello to Argon Charm 444. Hello. Hi from Baltimore. Hi. Good to see you. I went to the amazing Howard University College of Dentistry in DC, and so I spent some time in Baltimore. So glad that you're here. I appreciate you being here. Let me know what questions you all have as it relates to having difficult conversations. Excuse me. As I mentioned before, this channel focuses heavily on advanced communication skills and strategies for those of you who are new to me. And if you really want to get a very much surgical-like approach to communication, to helping you overcome some of your communication challenges and helping you be able to navigate some of those maybe more challenging situations, this is the absolute best channel on YouTube. I say that very comfortably. Excuse me. So as I mentioned, most people, they don't want to have a hard conversation. They don't want to have a difficult conversation because we just don't want to have a lot of conflict. Does that make sense? Let me know in the comments below. Are you scared of having difficult conversations? It's okay. We're going to come up with some strategies to help you today. One of the first strategies I'm going to share with you until I get some questions to come in is when you know you're going to have a difficult conversation, there's two ways to have a difficult conversation. The first way is to have the difficult conversation when you are prepared. You know you're going to have a difficult conversation with someone. Perhaps you're doing a performance review. Perhaps you are having to lay someone off. You may have to be a part of a reduction in force and relaying that unfortunate information. There's a lot of things. You may have to do a termination. You may have to lose a client. There's a lot of reasons why you may be having a conversation that is planned and you know it's going to be difficult. But then there's the other aspect of it where you are having a difficult conversation that was not planned. So we're going to focus a bit more on the planned. I'll try to go into not planned just a little bit with the time that I have with you this morning. I will most likely go more in detail on this later this evening, so feel free to join me live later this evening and we'll dive a bit more into difficult conversations. Or if you have any questions that come up today specifically as it relates to difficult conversations, then let me know in the comments below. Welcome to all of you who have joined today. I appreciate you being here. Where are you joining from in the big beautiful world today, and what questions do you have about navigating difficult conversations? This is the best channel on YouTube to help you learn how to master these situations, so feel free to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to learn a lot more. As I mentioned, people don't want to have hard conversations. They just don't want to have them, right? They just do not want to have difficult conversations. If you know your conversation is going to be difficult, maybe it's planned in advance, that's what you have to do, is you have to plan in advance on these conversations. What does that mean specifically? I want to say hello to Honor. Hello, welcome, friend. How you doing today? What I want to say specifically, if you know you're going to have a hard conversation, you have to plan it in advance. There needs to be at least one major talking point that you need to address with this person. Only one. If you are more of an advanced communicator and if you are subscribed to my channel, you're definitely on your way to being that, then you might be able to talk about a couple things. But if you're relatively new, or maybe you are a bit more reserved when it comes to those difficult conversations, just focus on one thing. The one thing you need to talk to this person about. What is the one issue? Don't go down the rabbit hole of saying you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong, and this wrong, and that wrong, and this wrong, and this wrong, and this wrong. It's too much. It becomes overwhelming, and it makes the conversation even more contentious than it really needs to be. Let me know in the comments below. Have you ever been in a difficult conversation? If so, what happened? Put it in the comments below. Let's talk about it. So you want to plan ahead in advance if you know you're planning to have a hard conversation with someone. The second part of that I'm going to share with you is to make your difficult conversation like a conversation. How many of you have been in difficult conversations? Maybe you've been the giver or you've been the receiver of a difficult conversation. I've been the receiver of difficult conversations before. If you've been the receiver, what happens is typically the person that is relaying the difficult conversation to you talks to you in a very much of a you did something wrong, pointing finger type of approach. And when you're having a difficult conversation, this is the fastest way for you to completely lose your executive presence and your status as a leader by communicating with someone in that way. Therefore, when you have those difficult conversations in terms of how you want to make it like a conversation, then the best way for you to be able to do this is to ask the person, how are things going? I talk about this a lot on my channel, and you would be surprised that oftentimes when you know you're having a difficult conversation with someone, if you ask them, how are things going? They may say what's actually going on. Or if they don't say it initially, if you check in with them and say, I wanted to see how are things going in your role? How are things going in your position? If they feel comfortable with you, they will more than likely tell you what is going on. They will tell you exactly what they are struggling with, and more than likely that one topic that you need to speak with them about to address in this difficult conversation will likely come up in the conversation. And when it does, it doesn't feel like you're telling them, hey, you did something wrong. You are actually having a conversation in a way to where it appears as if they co-discovered that this was a problem and this is something that they actually need to work on. So these are ways to have difficult conversations. So let me see what's going on in the chat. Hello. I don't know the language, but I want to say hello. It starts with M-A-T. I'm going to say that. Hello, welcome, welcome. Cat 23rd says, hi, Doc. Hello, Cat. Good to see you, friend. Now, we talked about what to do when you are planning to have that difficult conversation, when you know you're going to have that difficult conversation. But what happens when you don't know you're having the difficult conversation? When it just happens to come up, you had no idea it was going to be difficult. You didn't know what to do. You didn't know how to say it, when to say it. That is something we're going to probably talk a bit more about this evening when I go live. Now, I want to know, what questions do you have about having these difficult conversations? What questions do you have? I'm here to support you any way that I can on your journey. I know how hard it is when you're trying to navigate these very challenging and complex situations. It doesn't have to be as hard as you think it is, as long as you have some good structure, overall good guidance to help you do that. And this channel specifically will help you be able to communicate more confidently and concisely under pressure, whether you are in my direct target audience as a woman in leadership, or you are someone that is not my direct target audience. Perhaps you are a man in leadership or someone thinking about leadership. I will help you with that. Okay, Kat 23rd says, I missed the other live too. No problem, Kat. The lives are all on my live tab. You're welcome to take a look at any of those. Yesterday we talked a bit about what you need to say when a conversation gets heated, so that might be a good one for you to watch. And then of course today we're talking about difficult conversations and mastering those. So I will be live this evening. More than likely we'll go into those difficult conversations in terms of what do you do when the conversation becomes difficult and you didn't anticipate it. Today I talked a bit about what you do to plan for it, but this evening we're going to talk a little bit more what happens when you had no idea this conversation was going to be difficult. That's where you start to learn how to think on your feet, and this is the best channel to help you do that. So if you want to learn more, feel free to subscribe to this channel. You will learn how to communicate more confidently and concisely under pressure. I guarantee you're going to learn some strategies here. And if you have any questions on any of the videos, just put it in the comments below. I'm here to support you. I will do a video just for you and give you a shout out in the video depending on the depth of the conversation. I appreciate the heart emojis. So I will see you all later this evening, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye for now.